Where's that fun? We haven't seen it for a week. Good to see it again. And he's watched it as well. The fun belongs to Jake Ellacott. Good evening, Jake.
Good evening, Dave. Good evening, everyone.
Nice shirt you've got there as well, Jake.
I know, it's almost as if we planned it.
And there's one chap over there, Lee of Ember Designs. He's not in one of these shirts. How are you doing, Lee?
David, Jacob, are we well?
We are very well indeed. Right, we've only got one game to talk about today, unless we want to chuck in the reserves at Hartenden, well, at least the second half last Saturday.
Yeah, didn't you turn up a bit late, Dave?
Well, yeah, some numpty at Hartenden decided he's going to go out on his wedding anniversary, so they pulled a kick-off forward for an hour, and there's only one person they didn't tell that went to the game.
Oh, well.
Not today, mate, are you?
Poor old Hartenden reserves. They've not got a lot of backup there by the look of it in their first team. So I hope they don't get too many injuries. Anyway, good 4-0 win for our boys.
Hey.
And only one sent off. Right, Saturday. No, it wasn't Saturday, but let's move on to Tuesday at Clarence Park. Dulwich Hamlet. Have we had any games in the past against them that have been high scoring, that are well known? No.
One or two.
No. Oh, Lee is that angry about the result.
No, at least
that's my wallet. Sorry.
I did see the Dulwich Hamlet website said that it was only their second ever trip to Clarence Park.
Well, there's something on that. If you go onto our website, a magnificent website, it says past encounters. It lists about 4 games which have been cancelled due to COVID, and it lists the last 3 encounters. What it should have actually told us was this was the 131st meeting between the clubs, and it was the 66th time they'd been to Clarence Park, not the second. So good research there, all round by our bloke and their Twitter.
If only there was someone who could help relay that information onto the club.
You don't want people like that at the club, Lee. Clear out the media team, clear them out. We're going to get on with this game or what?
Yeah, probably.
What a cracking game. All right, our first defeat in 16 games. There's plenty to talk about. We start with the starting lineup with Tom Bender in there, Michael Clark on the bench. 2 surprises, I think, really.
Yeah, we were sat in the Mermaid before the game, and I have to say everyone was quite shocked to see. I mean, Bender in the starting 11 came out of nowhere, really. But Michael Clark on the bench, it was great to see them both back in. But yeah, and most people asking, where's Joy Mukena? And I don't think we've heard really an explanation, have we yet? So yeah, the changes of the team were a bit unexpected. And Lee, I think you said something earlier today that after you win that sort of game against Forest Green, do you want any changes at all?
I think sort of football 101 is that you don't change a winning defence, because that is the mainstay of your team. I think we've got to take this game into context, fellas. And I think it's really important, after everything we've been through the last sort of 3-4 months, not to get sort of too carried away with the result. I still think there were massive glimpses and massive positives to take from that side. The one thing I would say is that defensive mistakes are going to cost you. They're going to cost you. And we had 3 of them on Tuesday night. I think it's very unfair to heap on Clarkey, although he had a bit of a brain fart with that second goal. But, I mean, he's been out for what it feels like 2 or 3 years. You know, he's been thrown into that encounter. And, all right, fine, the fellas just got away from him and slightly won through. But defensive frailties will kill us. And, again, it's the long balls. And it's the way the goals happened. You know, long balls, that ball's travelled quite a way, and we've not dealt with it on either time. But what I would say, again, just remain in context, a lot happened during that game. One thing I will say to you fellas is that this team is without doubt the most attacking, fantastically attacking team that I've seen at Clarence Park. You know, the players we've got, Jeffers, Weiss, Goddard, Banton, that quartet can still be the catalyst to take us up and challenge for that title.
I liked Dulwich's approach to the game. They came there to attack. They were facing, obviously we're the side to knock down at the moment because of our run, and we are in the FA Cup and whatnot. And they didn't come there to frustrate us. They looked to attack. And you mentioned the long ball there. They hit it so many times. They put Alex under pressure at left back several times. They put him down the middle, and they were playing it superbly. But we'll come on to us in the second half later. But it did seem like we weren't fully switched on at the back. I think you're dead right there. You see the space they had.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I said it's harsh on Clark. I don't think he totally expected at all to play as much as he did. I mean, the next day on Twitter, he was saying he felt like he'd been hit by a bus. It's clearly been that long since he's had a tough game like that. And yeah, the defensive frailties, the one that really sticks out for me is that third goal. You've got barely any time to go to half time. Keep it tight at the back. And I mean, what was that defending? So yeah, and as Lee says, the defensive issues on the night were a huge issue. But on the counter, there's still so many positives for us to take away from it.
Well, that incident in the first few minutes, we'd already, I think, Mitchell Weiss already had a shot saved. Jeffers, why does he want the goal? He managed to hit both posts, and then Weiss, the ball's under his feet. He got his shot on target, and it goes straight at the defender's head. They were so lucky. It
was extraordinary being behind the goal. You just couldn't believe it. Everyone was like, "That's in. It's in again." No, it's not. Just unbelievable. And you know, if we'd scored then, I'm sure it could have been a totally different game. But yeah, I mean, I thought that when that happened, I thought, wow, we're really in for a good night here. And then a couple of minutes later, the ball's in our net.
Yeah, that third goal, that was a killer, because what a ball by Mitch for Johnny Goddard's goal. He had space and just a perfect ball for him to run onto, wasn't it? And Mitch, he had a hand in the other two as well. He had a hand in all three against Forest Green. We ought to wrap him up in cotton wool till Saturday, shouldn't
we? He's really come into it, hasn't he? That goal away at Braintree, he got into the side. He got, not the greatest goal, and that's really kicked him on since then. I think before that we were saying he should be in the team, and he's proved it, hasn't he? And I think it's an absolute travesty that he's not nominated for player of the first round in the FA Cup, but Michael Johnson is. What's happened there, everyone? I think Sam Merson's launching a campaign on Twitter. But as you say, Mitchell has been absolutely superb.
Sam Merson? He was there Tuesday.
He's a City faithful.
He was indeed. Right. You keep mentioning Michael Clark. He came on midway through the first half as a replacement for Michael Johnson, who went off with his strange hamstring injury, which couldn't see on when it happened, when he was just camping around trying to stop the bloke. Couldn't see when he got his injury. And of course, Tom Bender went in goal. Would have been nice if the highlights had shown Bender going in goal instead of him suddenly appearing in one of the clips later on. But yeah, any news on MJ?
Nothing at all. He doesn't seem too negative on Twitter, so which is all we heard really. So I mean, my concern is what are we doing for the weekend? But before we get there, I thought Tom Bender did a pretty good job in the goal, considering what he had to do.
My concern, mate, is who the hell has got that bloody Inter Milan towel? Towelgate. That's what it is.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's just what a story. He loses that, and then this happens. I mean.
Yeah.
What we have to understand, fellas, is that we were going to lose at some point, and this isn't a defeatist attitude, but I would much rather lose the game trying to win it, if you know what I mean. And it's that mentality now that we've got into our side, because we've done it before where we try to sit back and defend the lead or whatever, and it just doesn't work for us. We just can't do it. The best form of defence is attack, and we've got some of the best attacking players in the entire division. I had a mate who came to the game for the first time in several months, and he couldn't believe the standard now of the player that we've got on our side. Really is going to hopefully, and don't forget as well, everyone was heaping praise on Dartford, but they've lost points. They've dropped points, especially over the last few weeks. So although, yes, we lost and it's not great, and we've got, baggage because of it, injuries galore now. I think we've got to take that into context and not get too despondent by the end result.
God, blimey, Lee. You went with somebody who hadn't been for a few months. I went with somebody who played alongside John Mitchell for Colton in the late 60s, and it's only about the second time he's been to watch us since then. And he made a good point, actually. He said it would have been so easy for us to sulk with the way things were going against us in that first half Saturday. We could have just shut up shop and say, all right, we'll accept this one. But we didn't. You've been on about our attacking football. That second half performance, that was as good as anything you're going to see this season.
Yeah, absolutely. We were superb. The football was almost mesmerising at times. Dulwich fans after the game talking about one of the best teams we've seen this season. The way we stretched the pitch now We haven't actually got players that are, a natural winger, etc. But Banton and Weiss and even Goddard, the way they move, spread the play, absolutely brilliant. And the football, and do you know what I think? I was really disappointed to lose the way we did. But the football I saw in that second half, I went home still happy because the entertainment and the way we play at the minute, it's brilliant. As Lee said, it's one of the best teams we've seen at the park, footballing wise. Hopefully we can keep all of them for this season. But when you've got that attacking foursome, we can do anything, I'd say, at the minute.
You didn't look happy at full time, Jake, when I saw you.
That's because it was his round at the bar, Tabs.
Oh dear.
But again, we got caught out in the second half with that sucker punch goal at the end. And their second, third, and fourth goals, they were very clever. I knew what they were doing. They just stroked the ball past Tom because obviously not a natural keeper, so he doesn't spread himself in the way that MJ or a proper keeper would have done. And they read that situation well.
Yeah, that's what good teams do, isn't it?
Yeah, but they read that situation well. But our defenders should have read that situation as well. I mean, it wasn't the first time they played a long ball through. Again, ball watching, and I think that our two central defenders were too far apart, and it creates gaps. And it's it was upsetting to see because it cost us the game. But ultimately, we can't really heap on them too much because they were, it's the first time they've played together that season, and obviously what went on before with the injury to MJ, Clark has come in and done a decent job in the circumstances. But look, we'll put it down to experience and then we'll move on.
Ian Allinson, he gets praise, obviously, for the way we were going last season. Lots of praise for the incredible things that are happening this season, not to mention what, £200,000 we probably picked up roughly from the FA Cup. It's incredible. But does he get some criticism? That was his 256th game, 196th time he's not included a goalkeeper on the bench. When you got 5 subs, should you stick one on the bench?
It's really tricky. As you said, he's barely ever done it, and I think he said in his post-match interview how many that's rarely occurred in his management career, and it is of course taking a risk. And when Johnson went down, I think most of the fans thought he's just having one of his little injury breaks for us to get back into a different formation. So it is really unlucky. But at this level, when you've got only 5 subs, you want to make the most of the bench. Whereas in the Football League, Premier League, etc., they've got 7 and even 9 now. It's a lot harder at our level. And he probably should get some criticism. I saw a lot of comments actually straight afterwards saying, why don't we have a keeper? But those guys aren't complaining when the player that is in place of the keeper comes off the bench to score a winner.
Right, so here it is then, right? Our keeper, our sub-keeper is, what is he, 16 years old, 17 years old or whatever? Mm-hmm. Would you much rather put him in and, him get absolute, you know what I mean? He have like a nightmare or a poor game, his confidence is low, or would you rather Tom Bender, who is decent, is a decent keeper, step up to the plate? Tom did nothing wrong, to be honest with you. He actually pulled off quite a couple of good saves. Yeah. We've had experience in the past, notably against Stortford last year, where you put in a basically unexperienced keeper and he's had an absolute shocker. I don't think there was any benefit in putting a 16-year-old keeper into that fray. If we had a more experienced keeper, then fine. That conversation comes into the equation. But 5 subs, Taz, how many sort of times does that happen to us? Once every, 2, 3, 4 years maybe. But it just so happens it was on that night, and MJ pulls a
once every 2, 3, 4 years. I should think you could probably multiply that by 10, Lee. It is
really
so rare. It really is rare. But of course, the other thing also, if you've got a keeper sitting on the bench all season, he's going in there as rusty as an outfield player almost. They've got to play. It's a difficult one for a manager. Even with 5, 7 or 9 subs, that keeper has got to get some football somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So as much as I'm sure some will criticise Ian for it, as Lee said, it was just bizarre circumstances, and I don't think we could have really done much more about it, to be honest, to prevent it. And he said Tom made the saves. He didn't cost us any of the goals, did he? So would another keeper have done much better? I'm not sure.
He didn't cost us, but a proper keeper would have a better presence there. He certainly, it's not as if any went through his hands. A keeper would have had more presence, which would have put a little bit more doubt into the striker's finishing, which is no complaint of Tom, none whatsoever.
No, and to be fair, the goals, I would say the goals they did score, the defence didn't exactly put them under much pressure either. So Tom was a little bit exposed. So, but no, at the end of the day, freak circumstances, hopefully it doesn't happen again anytime soon.
Was that first one offside? You can't really tell on we got 15 cameras around the ground, but I didn't have one in line with when the ball went forward.
David, naughty.
It's tough to tell. I mean, again, quite a few Saints supporters did appeal for it, so that it's tough. But when Dulwich, Dulwich are a good team, similar to us, didn't have the greatest start to the season, but they've really kicked on now. And like Lee said, Dartford and other clubs starting to fall away a little bit. And now us, Ebbsfleet, Dulwich, all coming on now. It's really interesting how the league's shaped up, and Dulwich are there for a reason. They've got a good team, and fair play to them.
I think we're a mutual appreciation society, aren't we? I've been told that Dulwich have been tweeting about how good we looked, and I think we're all impressed with the way they played as well.
Yeah, and if all our games for the rest of the season are that entertaining, then we'd love it. But
well, I don't know though, mate. I'll do like a couple of boring 1-0 wins for City. The blood pressure, man. I'm getting a bit old now, so I just want to rein it in a little bit, fella.
I know. I mean, it was enough with the Forest Green game, and this as well. Hell, mate.
Interesting. The referee, people criticised him for blowing early in the second half. Tuesday, he only played 2 minutes 54 injury time out of the 3 minutes he said he was going to play. People said he blew up early. It's only because the board went up late, telling everybody. But the whole time, my one criticism of Dulwich was a time wasting. They were doing it in the first half, and it got worse the longer the game went on. We'd do it ourselves. We're as bad as anybody in recent years at doing it. It's just so frustrating. But your referees there to clamp down on it and add it on.
The absolutely ridiculous scenario was the keeper doing it in the second half. I don't know what minute it was, but he seemed to take up about 2-3 minutes in the end. Just slowly walking the ball forward, taking it back, then walking it forward again after the referee booked.
He got booked, though, didn't he? He got booked in the end.
Yeah, but that's what he wanted, Lee, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, and it worked. Yeah. But it's you're going to hate this word. It's clever. It's what happens now. No, but it buys time, and it takes
another word we're going to say. It's cheating.
Fine, okay, you call it that, but it takes the pressure. It just nullifies our attack, and we were absolutely bombarding forward at that point in time. Just buys these defenders a few more minutes, and then it works.
Yeah, the keeper knew he could afford a booking. He's not going to get a rash of them and get suspended.
No.
And the referee should have realised what was going on earlier, and I thought he was slow to react.
Yeah. But the referees also don't get any help from their officials at all, the assistants either. So. There you go.
That's it. What else can we talk about, fellas? Slow news day at Clarence Park.
What about a crowd? Cracking crowd.
Great crowd.
Yeah.
Very good crowd. Few complaints again about the youngsters being, youngsters.
You were young once, Jacob.
Still am compared to you two. But
yeah, but you look older than both of us, mate, combined. So don't start that thing.
Whatever.
Let's not go there.
Yeah. But no, great crowd, and that is exactly what we wanted after the Forest Green, wasn't it? We want people to come back again, and that's what we need. Good atmosphere. I think, Dave, it's probably our highest midweek attendance for a league game, isn't it, since the conference national season?
God, you've done your research. Oh no, you read my notes.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, Cambridge United, the first home game in the conference, which is 2006. But highest for a midweek home league game, apart from the bank holidays, which is pretty good. The thing is to try and hold on to them. Should we ever go out of the FA Cup instead of going on to win it?
The test will be mid-January, February, dark, really cold, wet.
Larrapin down.
The team might not be quite as in form as it has been. We'll see then. But while the sun is shining, the club's got to make the most of this and keep getting these people going back again.
Mind you, Dulwich brought a fair few with them as well. They're getting gates of 3,300 at home. Incredible. Most of them won't be able to see knowing that ground.
You coating off Dulwich, what is it, Champion Hill? Oh.
Well, apparently there have been complaints about that, so I was told on Tuesday.
Well,
you attract people in. They would like to see the game.
Well, it's more of a social club down there than a football club, isn't it?
It's more of a hipster hangout, fella, isn't it? That's what it is now.
Well, Peter Crouch was at Clarence Park on Tuesday as well, apparently, wasn't he, supporting Dulwich?
Was he?
Yeah, I saw a couple of photos of him in there. And there was also some cameras filming, I think, the Dulwich documentary as well.
So
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if any camera sort of crew tried to follow us as a documentary, the club? Oh my goodness me, that'll be on Netflix within weeks. Good Lord.
They spend all the time, Lee, focusing on the opposition. Like casuals had Mickey and Alex Stewart. Now we've got Sam Merson and Peter Crouch. We've got superstars everywhere.
I know. They wouldn't follow the little stories like keys to the park being lost on a Tuesday morning or something like that.
Mind you, it's surprising there was a game down there the other day, because on the Forest Green team sheet it says next home game, home to Dulwich Hamlet, Saturday the 16th of November, Saturday. And then you go on the highlights.
Oh no.
And there was a strap line at the top. It says 16th of October.
I didn't notice that.
And the tannoy didn't work.
Don't get me started on the way he did that tannoy, shouting and elongating our names, and then you can barely hear the opposition. What's that all about?
And off with the injury, MJ, Michael Johnson.
Yes.
That was a bit bizarre, I have to say.
That was bizarre.
Yeah.
I thought he'd scored there for about a second. I thought, what's going on?
Oh, dearie me.
We love excitable, don't we? We love excitable.
We do.
I think you're right, Lee. We take more encouragement out of the game. We do negatives from that. And
absolutely.
If the squad, it probably does need padding out a little bit more, just a little bit, not many.
If only we had £200,000 burning a great big hole in our pocket, David.
Really? Where would you get that from?
Cool.
Your wallet, mate. Actually, no, I've just dropped mine. I think we touched on this last week. We're not going to just sort of buy for the sake of it, but I think the time has now come where we do look to sort of, stabilise the squad with a few signings, maybe.
Well, if Michael Johnson's not going to make it Saturday, you don't want to kick the youngster into touch, but we are going to need an experienced keeper for Saturday.
Yeah.
Town.
I'm sure there'll be one available on loan somewhere if Michael Johnson can't make a recovery. Interestingly, one or two comments that maybe central midfield might need another body, potentially. Someone in there, because,
You and I were talking today, Jacob, when we were in the coffee shop, mate, and the names Samba and Comley were sort of being floated around as though we were, not at all nostalgic in any way, shape or form, but maybe, a quality central midfielder or two could come in and do the job. But
has the Mermaid changed to a coffee shop, then, Lee?
Well, it was a bit prior to the opening time of the Mermaid, so we had to sort of, take our hit flasks into Costa.
Yeah.
Other coffee shops are available in St Albans.
Yeah, and I can't get too drunk at work as well, so.
Mate, I fully encourage it. It's amazing.
Right. Well, we mentioned Saturday coming up. Hunger for Town. They keep blowing hot and cold.
They do what they want, mate, but they're going to rock up on Saturday and get an absolute hiding.
Well, if they win, they go above us.
Yeah.
It's can't take another one. We cannot take lightly. I know it's no easy games. Ask San Marino and Albania.
I think it is another big game. I think it'll be another entertaining one. Hungerford last season and season before, they played some decent football down the park when we came up against them. They've got a decent little side there, and the Saints will have to be at it. But if the Saints can just take those defensive mistakes out and play like they did going forward on Tuesday night, we've got a massive chance to pick up another 3 points.
They're a decent little side, Jake, but we've got a fantastic big side, mate, and we're at home and we're St Albans City. And this is what we were sort of talking about, Tabs, and this isn't, I don't know how this sort of transcends to what you are now thinking, but I now expect, with the players we've got and the way we're playing our football, to fully expect to win every single home game now, because it's the atmosphere that's been created off the back of these fantastic results over the last 2 or 3 months.
You're never going to expecting to win every game.
Give it a go, mate. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but it doesn't work every time, as you found out Tuesday.
Yeah, well.
I think what we've got hope for as well, again, is on Saturday, that there'll be another good atmosphere at Clarence Park and another decent crowd. Big game. Weather looks like it's going to be nice. Get them down Clarence Park and make the most of it. It'll be interesting to see what Ian does with the team selection with these injuries now. It'll be really interesting what he does, especially at the back. I mean, Johnson, if he's not fit, you've got to get a keeper in, haven't you? Really, you can't be putting the 16-year-old on the bench, or on the pitch. Sorry, but in at the back. I mean, I don't know what you guys would think. I mean, how are we going to line up? And where is McKenna? We need answers.
That's a big question, that one.
Yeah, I mean,
We need McKenna. How is MJ? How's Bender? Because he's going to be feeling it after that little stint in goal. So if only we had some sort of news coming out of the club, which we could sort of put supporters' minds at rest, maybe.
But you're saying about Michael Clark felt like he'd been hit by a bus, Jake. Because he played in a game none of us knew about last Thursday over at Hitchin Town. Him and Tom both came through that one. So presumably he must have had a good reaction after that, where he's probably only hit by a taxi instead of a bus.
Is it John Frendo's taxi? Oh, dearie me.
Dear Frendo.
Yeah.
We'll have more taxi drivers now. Who else we have? We had Alan Droy, John Deere.
Glenn Hauser PD.
Yeah.
Didn't John Kiriakou drive a taxi as well?
He did, didn't he?
Oh, what a shout. Oh. All these names, most of you won't even know who they are.
Well, others have been courier drivers as well. Gary Kolb had a go at it. Greg Howell had a go at it.
Lenny Piper. Lenny Piper was late for a game once because he went round the M25 like the wrong way. He had to go 2 junctions, right? He was late for the game, and he went like literally the entire way around M25. Bless him. Love Super Len. What a player. Crap courier. Brilliant. There you go.
Hungerford, by the way, away from home, 1-4, lost 2. So pretty decent record there. Actually, it might be better now. Didn't they win away in the week?
No, they didn't play in the week, did they?
I know somebody did. I'll have a look. I've got it in front of me.
Oh, it was Bath and...
lost at home.
Oh, did they? Oh, there we go.
No, it's previous week.
Oh, look at this shambles. Shambolic.
What's the club called Emil?
Oh, who are they? Don't know. They're who?
What's happening there, Jake? They won again Saturday as well.
Why do we care?
Yeah, it's a bit
local interest. Get the crowd up, get them interested.
It's a bit alien.
Both of them. Mug them off, mate. What's the matter with you?
It's football, Lee. Football. We embrace it all as a family.
But when they start playing something, mate, they might get interested. But until that time comes.
Oh, dear me.
Right. Predictions for Saturday.
4-1
Saints.
I'm going 3-1 Saints. And before we shoot off, should we touch upon, obviously, since we last talked, Boreham Wood, we had all the ticketing, I'd call it fiasco, and also it's on TV. So positives and negatives.
To put it politely.
I think everybody agree with the fiasco bit. We'll look at it properly after the game because it's just incredible what's gone on there. Also, we've had the FA Trophy draw.
What?
Are we going to take it seriously or is it a side issue?
Have we got the depth in squad to take it seriously? Yeah. That's what we, because there's going to be some players there who are going to be on absolute, low battery. Is that time now to sort of maybe bed some of the more fringe players? But again, it's just you need to reinvest.
You've got a league game 3 days later, which is obviously more important. Yeah. You'd love to get to the final in the FA Trophy, but with things that are going on around us in other competitions at the moment, I don't think there's probably going to be that much interest in it compared to usual.
Why couldn't we have got an interesting draw as well? Like Oxford City away. They're good. They've
been there, done that.
Yeah, boring ground, boring to get to.
Speaking of boring grounds, so back to Boreham Wood. So we're sort of sitting there. Oh no, we're not doing that, Tavs. Okay, sorry.
No. Let's touch on it briefly because there was so much chat online from Saints fans, basically just quoting off everyone's ticketing systems and the way it was all handled. So, what are you going to say, Lee?
I was going to say that when you've got genuine fans not being able to get tickets, something's got to be looked at. I appreciate that the last thing Danny Hunter wants is to be a televised game at Boreham Wood and there be a ground full of Saints fans. He doesn't want that. And the fact he's now giving away allegedly free tickets to schools to sort of try and bulk up the crowd a little tiny bit. It smacks of sort of being desperate really more than anything else. Jake, I know that we sort of spoke about it. There was news that they were going to release further tickets to us, but now that's sort of been cooled down a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, they said by the end of Wednesday, wasn't it, last week? They said we'd have more news, and then they put out a statement yesterday, basically saying St Albans City haven't given us more tickets for a potential replay, and then just didn't mention anything about more allocation for us. So, I mean, I know Southend United got 1,400 away in the away end down there about a month ago now at this point. So you have to question why we can't. I'm sure they'll say safety grounds, but Southend United, massive club, they took about 1,000 there, no issues. Probably could have had more. And also, why is the ground's actual overall capacity being reduced as well for this game? So yeah, it's such a shame because there's so many Saints supporters that have not been able to get tickets. Other Saints supporters who haven't been coming for terribly long or aren't, the most experienced, have been able to get tickets. Some have been able to get tickets way above the limit. Others no. And the way it's handled, like 4 tickets for family season ticket holders, which meant everyone could get 4 tickets. And then 4 hours in, that was reduced to 2 tickets. Just the whole thing. I mean, I don't know who is 100% to blame. I think it's probably both clubs potentially. Both clubs are involved in the process. Bournemouth's website was just a shambles. It took like an hour and a half to get tickets. But yeah, it's just...
It was very interesting to have the email come into my inbox this morning from the trust saying that they've got a couple of long-serving trust members and volunteers at our club who haven't got emails. They haven't got access to the internet. So therefore, they couldn't go online and book theirs. So if anyone has got some spare, then we've got 2 massive Saints fans who are volunteers at the club on a weekly basis who can't go to the game, and that's not right. Not in this day and age. But again, it's a case. Blame game can go backwards and forwards, Jake. But at the end of the day, mate, something's not right, and hopefully the conversations can continue, and we get some more.
As you say,
about the volunteers. You two already know it because you're closer to it than I am. Apparently, there was an email from a trust of the club asking for tickets for the volunteers, and might not have got a favourable response by the sound of it, which is terrible. But Bournemouth, it would have been hard for them to do, but they should have bit the bullet at the start and said, "Okay, we know we're going to struggle with sport. We'll give you half a ground, and we'll have half." Whether they could do it logistically with the segregation, I don't know. It would have been hard for them to admit it, but it would have been a sensible way around it. And I just find it nonsense for us season ticket holders. We could order 4 tickets. I've got 1 season ticket. I was expecting to get just 1 ticket. But you could get 4, and there are stories going around of people going on multiple times and getting 10. Not necessarily our supporters, and it's just balmy what's happened.
Yeah, and I say it's all well and good blame game, etc. It's just a shame that real City supporters have lost out, and when they didn't deserve to. And that is why we said at the time last week, not a great draw at all. And this is one of the reasons why. You could see this.
Tell you what, fellas, I have to laugh because there's like people, newer fans. They go, "Oh, I can't wait! New ground for me. Bournemouth's going to be great." So listen, mate, you'll learn. you'll learn. I'm all for it's a great to be in the cup. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere, but I think it could have been organised so a hell of a lot better.
It's not even a great away day, is it? You don't want to be spending pre-match in Bournemouth, do you? You don't. It's just, it's just such a shame. And I mean, I just wouldn't be surprised if there's Saints fans in the home end in the end. Those tickets that aren't selling, and it's just
David. If only we knew someone who was on the board at the trust that we could perhaps sort of lobby to sort of try and get some more information out about it.
Yeah. No such mouthpiece exists.
Well done.
Dear me. As you said, Dave, I think the trust have probably contacted the club about certain volunteers and lifetime members, etc. So, but at the end of the day, 2 football clubs, one of them in the National League, one in the National League South, both with full-time members of the staff, probably should have been able to organise this. And what gets me is why tickets went on sale so far in advance of the game as well. There was just no need for that.
No, I've not got a problem with that. In defence of people dealing with the tickets, my order would only take 1 ticket first. So it was you actually, Jake, who got me to ring them up, and they were extremely helpful with people there. But they didn't take any details of the people I was bringing with me.
No, it was
it's incredible.
Same with the online. All the ticketing, all the tickets are in the name of the one buyer. So yeah, as you say, I don't have an issue with people that have set up the second systems and selling them as well. Those people are just doing their jobs. But it's the higher level people at both clubs that maybe a bit more communication, bit more thinking. I don't know. Again, we're blaming people when really we should just be saying how crap it is that Saints fans are losing out.
It's tragic. Right,
Yeah.
we shall end on a high. Great game Tuesday. We lost, but it's one to treasure.
Exactly. I think you also want to say thank you to everyone for watching all the podcasts lately. The Forest Green result one, absolutely brilliant amount of views, and all the other ones as well.
You've got nothing better to do with your time than watch
No.
us numpties sitting there chat aimlessly for 3/4 of an hour.
You're bored. There's a lot more to watch.
I think we put a word around a few people. We were going to also interview or have a chat with Ben Martin tonight, but he's a little bit under the weather. He's a little bit under the weather, so we're hoping to do it next week.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll have
the edit button, Lee.
Keep it in, it's fine.
We'll have him on soon, but yeah, I suppose from us, that's probably enough, isn't it? And
I think so, more than enough.
If you want to tweet us, get involved with our Twitter, email us, do whatever you want. Get involved. Let us know how much you love us and love the club. And I suppose that's thank you and goodbye from us, isn't it?
We'll see you Saturday down the park.
See you later. Everyone.